Hi, I'm Dylan from Dotson Watches, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a watch. All of the parts come from AliExpress. It's a two-tone date just with a black dial. I don't even like gold watches. This was for a friend of mine who asked me to build it. He picked out everything, and after seeing it, I'm probably going to build a gold watch for myself. It's awesome looking. The quality of these are really good. I'm trying to see if I have any handy. This is an example of one I built from AliEx. It really is impressive, the quality that you get from there. I mean, you have to look for ones that have 2,000 and 3,000 sold. That's what I do, you know, where there's pictures, reviews, and it takes as long to order and find the right parts as it does to build the watch. But it's part of the fun, you know, customizing the watches, not paying 17 to 20 grand for the exact watch you want. So I think that's cool. We're gonna get started here. The first thing you do on every build is you have to remove the extra feet from the dial. They always come with between 4 and 6. It depends if you have a 3 o'clock date or like a 3.8 date, and you have to rotate the dial depending on your case really, or your movement that you're using. This time it's just a 3 o'clock date, a 3 o'clock crown position. It's really simple. I remove them, I get as close as I can, I just wiggle them back and forth, and then you have to shave off the little nubs that are left behind. And the reason you have to do that is so that that dial will sit flat on your movement. That little tool I just used, that blower, super important. You're going to need that for watch building the whole way through. Now once we got the dial on, it's flat, we need to get ready to put our hands on. To do that, the reason I'm turning that counterclockwise away from me, I guess, is so that the date will turn over. So you just move it real slow, and then you'll see the date will flip, and that means our clock is at 12 o'clock. And then we can put our hour hand on directly pointing at the 12 o'clock hour marker. So that's what I'm doing here. Terrible, you know, my big fat fingers are in the way. But I've got it down on there, but I didn't press it on. So it's just kind of sitting on there. And then I'm gonna use my presser tool to put that so that it's pointing directly at the 12 o'clock marker. It has to be straight. Once I get it on there straight, I'm going to press it on, make sure it's parallel. You'll see the way that it presses on, like once it, you know, good press, it'll be to where it's supposed to be. And then you can run it around the clock a few times, make sure it's all right. But here I'm just making sure I get it all the way pressed. That metal holder, this is the best thing to do for the hands, just because it's a nice, you know, stiff pressing, versus this where your movement's sitting right on there. And you don't want to press on this too hard. You want your movement in one of these. They're only a few bucks. Make sure you order one. Essential tool. Also, I'm using Rodico as like my holder. I've since developed a better system of taking like a stick, putting Rodico on the end of there, and it's a little bit more rigid. All right, anyway, the trick for the minute hand you just see me apply is to line it directly up on top of the hour hand so that it's pointing straight at the hour marker as well. Now that you have your minute and hour hands straight, they're set, they're pressed down, they're parallel, you gotta do the second hand. This is the hardest part of watch building. There's lots of tools, there's lots of ways to try and make it easier, but they're expensive, they're time consuming. If you get good at this, it's not so bad. I'm using a Rodco like as a holder and then using my presser, but the most important tool here is your magnification, having a loop that's 15 or 20 times. Your 10 times, you know, table magnifier is not going to work for this because you need to be looking parallel with it. As you see, like here in the video, my chin is on the table, my eyes are parallel with what I'm looking at, and it makes this a lot easier. So you're looking like this and not looking down on it like this. Once you do get the second hand set, you want to do a test. You're going to look at it for a minute, let it go the whole way around, and make sure that it doesn't interfere with your hour hand or your minute hand, or that it's, you know, something's not perfectly parallel, because you'll be able to tell once you get it in the case. Even with the naked eye, you'll be able to tell something's not right. So make sure everything's straight, everything's parallel, and that your hands can get the whole way around the clock without hitting anything. Another thing to watch out for, make sure your second hand fits inside there and that there's nothing out around at that silver movement or movement holder. That's happened to me before, and I just had to trim the second hand down. It was real easy. Once your hands are on, they're parallel, everything's good, we're going to put our movement into the case so that we can measure the crown stem. For this particular case, it's a 40 millimeter, meaning you have to put it into a spacer. The spacer's pretty easy, put it on. Usually there's a nipple, you know, directly at the 9 o'clock that you have to put in to press the case down on. It just holds everything in there. So I did that, press it on. I'm gonna flip it upside down, and we're gonna take our full uncut, you know, crown stem there, screw our crown onto it so we can get an accurate movement. Now to press it in there, I didn't show very well in the video, but you kind of want to turn it in there. Don't just shove it in there. Turn it once it's catching the movement, then push it. Take your, you know, laser, or I guess it's not laser, but your accurate electronic tool. You got to have one of these, and then use that end. That's what I use there. That's how you get a very small measurement. You want to measure from your crown to the middle of that hanging off the end, the screw down part of the case, right to the middle of that, because it's gonna press if it's a screw down crown at least. Once you got it measured, it looked like ours around 6 or 7 millimeters that we need to remove. Then you press, you know, down. There's a little release there. I'll have to make another video that shows a very close up of where to release to pull the crown stem out. But now that we have, you know, it looks like a 6.1 millimeters we need to remove from the total size of the crown stem. So now I'm going to remove my crown, and I'm going to measure the entire crown stem, the uncut crown stem. So I put that, you put it in the bottom part of your, you know, tool there to measure it. And it looks like the total size is, you know, 21, 22 millimeters, whatever it is. Once I zero it out, I'm going to take it down to negative 6.1 and then find a way to measure and cut that. In this video, I kind of skipped that, and it's already cut down to size, and we're good to go. And this is just kind of like, you know, a demonstration. So I've cut it, and then you got, once you know it's the right size, or you think it is, you got to file down the end, because it's going to be snagged on there. You're not going to be able to get the crown down. So just file it the best you can. I move away from my table so that I'm not getting any metal shavings anywhere near my movement. I'm still wearing gloves, and I'm going to replace the gloves after that because they're going to have residue on them. Alright, so it looks like the size was good. I tested it, it went in, it fits, it screws down, all good. Now we got to put a little bit of Loctite. Use the blue kind for these, because it's not, I guess it's like in the middle. It's never fallen off. Once I put that on, the crown stays on. The only way to get it off, I guess, is with heat. So you'd have to heat it up somehow. So I hope I don't ever have to do that, or at least till I figure out a better way, but we'll get there when we have to. Yeah, to get the Loctite on, I just take a pair of tweezers, just shove the whole thing down in there, get it good and covered. I screw my crown down. Oh, it looks like I 2 times this so we can get through it quicker, so that's good. Yeah, screw your crown down. There'll be a little bit of excess. I just wipe that off with a, you know, little rag or something, get it off of there. Yeah, this is hard. I think I end up taking my gloves off at one point because it makes this process a lot easier. Oh, there we go. So our crown's on, our crown stem's cut down. Now we should be ready to pretty much assemble the watch. All right, with everything measured and cut, we have our Loctite on, we're ready for the final assembly of the watch. As you can see, the watch is already, or the movement's already set down into the spacer. We're gonna press our case on. And then here, to make sure it's tight, you're gonna see I use a tool, kind of get it down in there, make sure I can feel that nipple at the 9 o'clock slide down into the case. There's a little piece, you'll feel it slip down in, and make sure it's secure. We're gonna take our case back, and you know, the most important, before I even started this, and I didn't show it in the video, is just how much time to make sure that case is clean and everything's off the sapphire front and back. Can't forget the O-ring if you actually want it to be water resistant, waterproof. You know, I follow all the process. There's an O-ring that goes here. That's what that is. It kind of oils it up, makes sure it gives you a good watertight seal. There's an O-ring, a very tiny one, inside the crown stem, you know, when you're, that little hole that it goes through. So these watches should be good to, I've never tested one yet, but I've seen guys on the forums say they're good to 100 meters, just like it says. So I imagine if you do everything right, it's definitely going to be good for a hand wash, or if you get pushed into a pool or something, and can't ask for much better making it at home. All right, so our case is in, we got our crown stem And I like to do it before I screw the back on, because the back will turn the whole movement and everything, and you have to get it out to get it in the right place. So put your crown stem in before you screw down the back of the case back. Make sure it's clean, because it's a pain to take it off and re-clean it, especially the front crystal. I mean, that's got to be spotless, and it takes a long time to just reach in there, use alcohol wipes, do whatever it's got to do to make that spotless, or else again the naked eye will see it, it'll ruin the watch. That's all you'll ever see when you look at it. So we got our case screwed down nice and tight, as tight as I can, finger tight, you know, nothing over the top, and then screw our crown down. Look at that, looking good, beautiful. I love the exhibition case backs. It, you know, it makes it feel like a quality watch. And there you are.